Hi, this is Carl, and this is another SOP video for managed service providers. Today I want to talk about documenting service calls with vendors. Now, there's only a handful of things you need to know, but they're extremely important, and the last one is the most important. So the first thing, you should put all of this information into your PSA before you make the call. In other words, you should have a ticket with your client. This starts with who is the vendor and includes information such as how much support do they have? Is this a warranty call? Is this a covered service call? What exactly is going on there? And then you need to know, you're going to keep track of the service ticket number, the time of the call, all that kind of stuff. So you're setting yourself up to keep better notes than the vendor. And that's important because when you're done, you may have to come back to this someday, and it's important to have those better notes. Second, and very much related to that, you need to have a TSR log. So I've got a totally different video about the troubleshooting and repair log. But the point is, you need to have a log where you keep track of every major important thing you did, every step you take, every change that was made, especially when you're troubleshooting. You need to be able to say, I did first this, then that, and then be able to relay that accurately and repeatedly as you get escalated through vendor support. Eventually, at some point, you may actually need to have these notes in a form that you can send to the vendor. I have found, and again, we talked about this elsewhere, that you can get escalated much more quickly if you have really good notes, and your TSR log is a way to do that. Third, you need some great processes in place. You need processes for how you deal with vendors. A perfect example is we do not let vendors have access to our client systems on an ongoing basis. We will create a user for them, and we will assign a password, and then we disable that logon. And when the vendor needs access, they arrange it with us. Part of our vendor management is that we let them in. We give them the password and give them a time to log in so we can be there, we can follow what they're doing, and we can make sure that they don't mess with things that they shouldn't be messing with. Remember, a lot of the reason that so many people dislike line of business applications is that they're very poorly written by people who barely understand the operating system. And so as a result, they make themselves into administrators because that's a way to solve a whole bunch of problems. It's also a way to give them far more power than they really need to have for the most part. And again, better written programs don't do that, but you don't know what you're up against when you get started. So it's very important that you manage those vendors and have processes in place to make sure that all works. You also need a process to be able to hand this job back and forth between your own technicians. That's one of the reasons you create a ticket. So if you work on something for 4 hours, you can hand it off to somebody else and they can work on it for 4 hours, and they'll be able to use your TSR log and your notes to make sure that they are totally up to spec. The key to success with all of this is good notes. Being able to say exactly what you did and the order in which you did it, that's going to help you get escalated. It's going to help you to get better tech support. Finally, the single most important thing about vendor management, you've got to have it covered by a contract. Your contract with your client should state specifically that all hardware and software must be under warranty or under management. In other words, if they've got a software package, they have to have support on that software. That way you can call tech support and talk nerd to nerd and get problems solved much more quickly. You clearly cannot be up to date on every piece of software in the world. And so if they don't have a support contract, your contract with your client must state very clearly that every minute of your time will be billable. The only way that it can be covered by managed services is that they have to have a contract for support from the vendor. That way you can call the vendor and get things fixed really quickly. If you can't do that, you have no idea how long this job is going to take. So it's critically important that this either be under support from the client, or if you have to pay for it, again, you're the one paying for that and all of your time becomes billable. Stay profitable, go slow, do it the right way. For Small Biz Thoughts, this is Carl Polachuk wishing you the best of luck in your managed service business. Here's your checklist for this video. Like it, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post new videos, share it on your favorite social media, and if you haven't checked out SOP for SMB.com, go visit our website.